What are some practical ideas for Lent? I would say you should know yourself, and it's good to commit to a few simple things that you're pretty confident you'll be able to fulfill. So sometimes people get almost overly ambitious. You know, they're gonna say, I'm gonna pray 3 holy hours a day and 3 rosaries a day, and they haven't even been praying at all. So what you have to do right now is just take where you are and see if you can intensify it a little bit more. See if you can be a little bit more aligned with God's will for you. So, there are a couple areas. One, in the area of fasting, there are certain things that we let go of during this time. Most commonly, it's expressed perhaps in certain, some people choose sweets because that's an area that they have a sweet tooth, and so they're going to let that go. For some other people, it's giving up alcohol during Lent. For some other people, it's they find themselves with so much screen time, whether it's gaming or whether it's streaming videos or whether it's just being distracted through social media. Those kind of visual deterrents can fill up our time, but not with real meaning. And so for some folks, they would give up something in that area. So in addition to that, when it comes to doing acts of charity, it's good to think of some things you want to do proactively. So you might give up something, but you could also think about, how am I going to be a more loving person? Now, I will say sometimes just in the culture we live in, we have, I think, people around Thanksgiving and Christmas of a lot of different religious traditions have a sense that they want to give a little bit more. Well, that sense that some people attribute to, we'll say, the winter holidays should really be brought in also to our Lenten journey, so that we think of this as a time where we reach out to those who are in need, and that we extend that season of giving more and more and more. And then the intensification of the life of prayer. I mean, 40 days, where does that come from? It comes from Jesus, before he entered into his public ministry, had 40 days where he fasted and where he spent that time communing with the Father. And so we're invited to do the same thing. So it's a beautiful season for us. It's a time of real just purification. And we don't have to be dour during the whole season of Lent. You know, we can still be cheerful, hopeful people, but with a renewed focus on what really, really matters. The other practical bit of advice I would have is sometimes people start off very ambitiously during Lent, and maybe when they hit their first stumble, they think, oh, I just ruined my Lent. You know, I said I was going to give up sweets, and look at what I did. Hey, start again. The Lord is still with you, and just continue forward if you might have a little slip along the way. Now, that's regarding Lenten practices, but of course, when we talk about this being a penitential season, it's also a time before we get ready for Easter to go to confession, to seek out the sacrament of reconciliation. And so our parishes throughout the 4 counties of the Diocese of Gary have a much more full and complete opportunity for people to go to the sacrament of reconciliation. And so that gives that true renewal, because for serious sins, that's been the gift that's given to us so that we can receive his mercy. And regardless, that beauty of going to the sacrament of reconciliation is fantastic. So that's the best way you can have a great Easter, is to enter into the practices of Lent. And if you haven't been to the sacrament of reconciliation in a while, and even if you have, make sure you go sometime during Lent to get yourself ready for the joy of Easter.